to Holy Island. Man. Dude, I'm excited for this one, actually. Like, Mongols, this is refreshing to see. Have you seen any Mongol Holy Island so far? I feel like nobody does this.
Not much. I think part of the equation, in a way, is reminiscent of what we see from the Rus not being used on maps like Dry Arabia and such, because there are just better uses elsewhere, you get the feel for Mongols. On the other hand, it is not an underwhelming civilization on this map. If you think about the fact that the map is so open that it's next to impossible to vol unless you're like a madman, it's actually fine for the Mongols. Like, they're just gonna say, I didn't want to wall anyways, might as well just leave it open.
Exactly. How am I going to wall? Like, you know, enough troops to body block? That's about as close to walling as you can get with the Mongols, of course, having no access to such things. And straight away, it's that stables. This is kind of a given choice. Some people look at this matchup, they say, English are favored because Mongols want to build spears and outpost rush me. No. Even if you want to outpost rush, step one is you always go for the stables because racks are an impossibility. All you're doing is playing into a timing where the English will butcher your spearmen.
Exactly. That's the key thing here. Essentially, against the English, you will blindly open up with the Horsemen in Dark Age if you want to put up any aggression in Dark Age with the Mongols, because you know that at some point you're likely going to face longbows, although that's not guaranteed. In some unconventional games, we sometimes see the Abbey for Horsemen, though, as I said, rather unconventional it is.
All right, now B should just be all chatting, ha 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 ha. MarineLorD tried to hide the dock in the corner. It was his best hope. Like, he needs to get that net worth advantage down the line, but this is now giving B an opening. This is what he's waiting for. And on top of that, the bonus, the sting, the poop being rubbed inside the wound on top of it all is this villager just being sniped out before it can get to safety.
I love the single Horseman addition here. Keep in mind, he didn't roll out the stable to the Ovu to be able to go for double Horseman, right? Yeah, in fact, he doesn't even have an Ovu.
He didn't build an Uvu. Yeah, like, that's why he gets the stables out. That's what makes this so great. Like, I want to highlight this about B. This is the cool thing about his build. Because he didn't go for an Uvu play, MarineLorD straight away might think he's going for docks. Even if he scouted in, he'll quickly see there's nothing on stone, and your first thought when a Mongol player doesn't have any stone being gathered is that he's building a dock. It's the only thing you'd think. You wouldn't think he's dropping his stables.
Yeah, and the key thing here is that part of the reason why that first Horseman was so fast to arrive to kill the villager was that simply that stable went up in a blink of an eye, and you already have two Horsemen out there. It's a bigger investment, but the value is massive here for B, and you see it already forces out the barrack from MarineLorD, but that's where the English's inability to drop Spearmen in Dark Age is going to come into play.
And also, how do you get the first men at arms? Like, they're 100 food each. It takes so long, then they take ages to run. Like, you can't go spearmen, right? Like, you're the English, you can't. So it has to be men at arms. So you have to wait until you've got a good enough income to support villager production and the MAA. That's difficult. And considering that it's 2 horsemen and you just have a plastic sword, I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, make it 4 horsemen. He's just going to torch this down and ignore your poor little boy with his plastic sword.
Indeed, and the key word is ignore. You force your opponent to invest into rather pricey men-at-arms that will be just insignificant in the coming minutes, whereas your horsemen, they can still roam the map, hunt for scouts, hunt for longbows in the future. Your investment is much better when it comes to the food.
This is going to be a bloodbath. 6 villagers coming out with their short bows. They can at least snipe out the villagers B brought, but these horsemen could just target him down. Like, MarineLorD could actually lose a lot of his villager count here.
Yeah, this could easily be a make or break here. Here come the horsemen. 2 more coming from behind as well.
The villagers just run away. They're like, we don't want any part of this. We know we're just going to die straight away. And you see the villagers now being targeted down. I mean, the horsemen, only 100 health, but they do have missile resistance, and you can feel it impacting the damage. 20% of the damage each of these villagers do is just gone straight away.
Indeed, so are the villagers here. Already 2 villagers down is going to be MarineLorD losing more. And more reinforcements come in for B. Keep sending in the horsemen, just slaying the villagers, KP.
It's what we saw in game 1, right? When we saw the horsemen harassing villagers. At first, they were a good solution, but as you lose 1 or 2, your effective damage just decreases so quickly. It gives more bang for buck per horseman remaining. And you can see at the end of this, all there is remaining is 1 horseman and 1 villager. We don't talk about the boy at arms, right? They're not old enough to know what this war was about. They don't hit strong enough to be relevant in this fight.
At the end of the day, B is gonna have 1 eco up over his opponent because, at least for MarineLorD, he does have a fishing eco working. So as long as that dock is alive, MarineLorD he's gonna be relatively okay with this. If the dock goes down, it's a disaster because he's gonna have no functional eco.
Just double down, baby. Cover your ears. Don't listen to anything Lidicor said, B. Get those torches and make the world burn. Because if that dock is gone, the MarineLorD is sunk.
Yeah, like, it's essentially a make or break. You lost so many villagers on land that if all those fishing ships go idle, you essentially have no functional economy.
And you can see, like, just 3 horsemen, if he plays this right, are pretty effective. He could even think about, like, kind of skimping and adding in scouts instead, right? Because the torch damage is the same. And the health is actually about the same.
Yeah, exactly. And you just want to raid. You don't really want to fight these man-at-arms. You just want to run past them just like he's doing right now.
Bye.
Head straight for the dock.
Oh, that feels so bad. MarineLorD, he followed him all the way out. Remember, these boy arms, I call them for multiple reasons. They don't hit very hard, and they don't run very fast, all right? They are not winning any medals if they enter the Olympics.
And that's the thing, right? Those are also very pricey units.
Whoops. I think B had the wrong idea. It's like, get the injured one out, runs them straight into the men-at-arms. So that at least mitigates some of the damage, but B, you can see he's just waiting for him to come a little bit far away, and then once again, he's going to head out. In the meantime, the one villager, this is what he was waiting for. There has to be a repair crew coming out. It's not just the threat of the dock going down, it's the threat of B getting paid for just setting it on fire.
Indeed, villager now being pulled to repair, but look at that, low HP. He's gonna yoink it.
Khan's going to finish it. How many villages is that now? MarineLorD, the plus side, he is at least teching up now. B has stunted his own growth to do all this. And maybe one weakness for B, instead of doubling down on stopping MarineLorD, he hesitated and set up his own fishing eco.
Yeah, in retrospective, it probably would have been better to just try to light that dock on fire, because should you do that, even if MarineLorD reaches feudal age, he can't afford anything.
Well, one cool positive that's coming down the road, because the amount of villagers that MarineLorD lost on land, something that he won't be able to afford a lot of are galleys. He's going to have a lot of food, but not a great wood and gold income to support the military force on the waterfront. So maybe B is just thinking 2 steps ahead with this play.
It's very possible. Especially because MarineLorD is not really rushing feudal age here. Keep in mind, he has limited amount of villagers, so if he chooses to go for a lot of villagers building a landmark, it means that he's gonna be even shorter when it comes to access to wood and gold.
Speaking of a lot of villages, B, he's doing this to gather food off the shoreline fish. What a brilliant play. This is an under-leveraged tactic when you're playing on maps like this. Shoreline fish have remarkable gathering rates for villagers. 1 food a second, that's better than boar.
And a key thing is that you already have a dock working, might as well use that to your advantage. And with the Mongols, you don't even want to set up pastures. Look at that, that's gonna be a spectacular source of food. Great use of efficiency, really.
And speaking of efficiency, like you said, the dock, but you know, even when you move further out from that dock, just build a gur. The gur can move. The Mongols are actually the best civ at leveraging fish. Out of any civ in the game, shoreline fish that is, because they can just pack up and move along. Second best, of course, being French due to how cheap their mills are.
Double docks now here for MarineLorD, but as you mentioned, he simply can't afford to make galleys here. In fact, he's struggling to afford anything at this point because as both players are adding fishing ships, MarineLorD's eco is going to fall behind quite a bit compared to his opponents.
Am I the only one that imagines at one stage in early development, you could pack up Mongol docks and move them around, but it was too OP?
Ooh, it would be spicy, actually.
I have a feeling they tested it and it was just broken, right? Like, because when you think about it for longer than 30 seconds, you realize the ramifications.
I think it's also logic, right? Like, how do you pack up a dock and move it around? Or
Dude,
it's
just
probably
a floaty
mechanics. Like, I think mechanics are scary because you're much more restricted when it comes to placing that building as compared to others.
I think it's more a case of like, if you think of one of the big advantages of being the defender on Naval is like, oh, I have healing at home. Imagine a Mongol player like has Naval advantage and then parks a dock in your base. It's like, well, what? You didn't even build that here. You literally just dropped it. What is this?
Speaking of dropping, look at what B is doing. He has no desire to fight in feudal. Off the back of the shorefish, he's thinking about castle age here, sending all the villagers to gold.
That might be a little bit risky, though. You need to kind of react to what's happening here. The Uv is being torched down by the men-at-arms. Not fast, of course, but does add up over time. A lot of wood is being gathered, and I think that's going to allow him to prep into the archery range. Interesting choice, but it makes sense when you consider the fact that MarineLorD is behind on land eco, so he can afford less wood into bow production.
Exactly. Numbers not really good for B though, and keep in mind it's gonna be difficult to place that range right next to the Ovu, so he might struggle without double production to match the numbers of MarineLorD.
And you can see the galleys already in the field from MarineLorD. That's why B was building up the outpost, not just about the men-at-arms, it's about the coming threat on the naval front. He's going to need them to defend him, defend his fleet, because he has built quite a few fishing boats here.
Good micro so far, keeping the low HP fishing boats alive. A single galley might not be able to do that much damage. One fishing ship will go down. Most of them, though, just idle.
Yeah, he's trying to bait the galley in range. He was getting the arrow slits upgrade, but you can see the difference that that nerf made, taking one tile range away, really stops you, prevents you from obliterating these galleys that show up so early.
Speaking of obliterating, though, Ovu also gone here for B, and now his stable is under threat as well. Only at 3 military. This is actually very concerning now for B. He doesn't seem to have the means to stop this land-based push.
He's prepping archers and horsemen, but he's also trying to invest to defend on the Navy side. This isn't the worst of ideas, because considering he's on the home field and he has double dot production, he could just force MarineLorD to double down on galleys. Even with the discount the English get, it's still a pricey unit. It's good bang for buck, but the entry fee being so high does inhibit the English's ability to scale a land and naval force.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it, B just wants to defend his force. He doesn't want to win the water fight. He just wants to keep MarineLorD's galleys away. And he's going to be able to do that with the 2 light chunks he just popped out.
And another thing to actually keep in mind with this layout, with this type of map, like you don't see it on a lot of the maps we've been featuring. Things like Cauldron comes to mind, right? Small water areas, the immobility of the galleys doesn't matter much. But on maps like this, it's a long straight, so light chunks actually have the ability to chase and kill. Although you will have to rather get into the sails, which I believe B is now going for.
I mean, that's going to be a big difference maker. And
Yeah.
I would assume that with the sails, he's just going to try to evade those galleys and just hit where it hurts. Strike at the fishing eco and just try to snipe the fishing ships before getting his light chunks destroyed.
Yeah, I think B was a bit frustrated by that. Like, he maybe didn't notice that MarineLorD had sails himself, so he couldn't pursue. If he actually had sails ahead of time, he would have been able to continuously pepper into that galley, kill one off, and then with a 3-to-1 advantage, he would be able to shut MarineLorD down. But now it's 3-to-3, and galleys, behind just the hulks, are the best feudal age ship to battle with.
Speaking of feudal age ships, here come the light chunks, and as you see, with
Hello.
sails out there for MarineLorD, he can get away at the blink of an eye, really.
he ain't gonna away that quick. 3 galleys make quick work of light chunks. The HP pool is abysmal against the damage they're taking.
Speaking of damage taken, though, new Ovu being placed, but once again, Spearman Men-at-Arms pushing into this one. No arrow slits on that tower either, and look at that. Light chunks gone.
Oh, look at the archer count, though. The archer count is getting high for B fast with the double production. Remember, he stockpiled up a lot of stone here. The Men-at-Arms haven't been fully answered yet, but let's keep in mind that MarineLorD, because he went up to 4 galleys, hasn't been escalating his longbow count.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you mentioned this, that he's trained on wood and gold. And as you said, galleys are super pricey. So he can't really afford both, and this is something that is playing into B's hands, because now the archer numbers are looking better, and with Yam, plus the faster movement speed of the archers, he can even chase.
This is why going too early as the English up against Mongols can be very volatile, is that Yam you just mentioned. It's such a game changer. Remember, the archers are already by default faster than Lombos. You add in that 15% movement speed, boom, on top of you. You add in a maneuver arrow as a possibility for the Khan as well. It doesn't matter that you have more range. You're not keeping that range.
Not at all. And with horsemen also chasing, you might even be forced to stand and fight. And look at this. B is doing something completely different now. No desire to just keep on pressing in feudal age. No desire to go into cost leader. He's working towards a second town center.
I love this play. He realizes the naval fight is lost. There's no point. It's 4 galleys. You're fighting a losing battle trying to play catch up here. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Instead, play land, because clearly MarineLorD has neglected it. The fact that you just managed to recover and defend like that, he's clearly neglecting here. So you can actually take control of this resource that is going to matter long term. Because sure, Navy can allow you to propel towards winning a game, but the game is still going to be won on land.
Indeed. Especially as the game progresses and as you venture deeper and deeper into the deep fish, it's gonna get less and less efficient, and that transition to land, if timed well, could be devastating, and I get the feel that B is gonna nail that. Yoink!
Khan's like, I'll take them all on. Show me where they're at. Let me at them, Scrappy. Stop it. It's a bad idea.
For now, B is gonna fall back, working his way towards Castle Age. It's a risky move because no, once again, he's outnumbered, but he's on 2 TCs, and if he can safely get to Castle Age, this could be a massive power spike. Boar aggroed by the longbows.
So frustrating. Not that he wanted to turn around. I mean, honestly, that card, it's kind of felt like one of those moments in the movies where someone's like, go, I'll cover you, and they buy you like 2 seconds max, right? Like, yes, the Khan has bought us 2 seconds on our tech up. Sadly, we needed like at least 20 seconds of distraction to cover this tech up. Feels like MarineLorD is actually going to spot him out in the middle of it, and keep in mind, MarineLorD has already started his own tech up into Castle Age.
And if it's with the King's Palace, right? So he's also gonna be able to match the TC numbers, plus have a functional fishing Geeko, looking better and better for MarineLorD over here because he's gonna have the army advantage at the beginning of Castle Age here on land, have the water, and also have 2 TCs just like his opponent.
A clear advantage as well. That's the key detail to keep in mind here. Like, the longbow count alone is harder than the archers, then everything else has been added and all the crap alongside it just to kind of like muddle the fight, make sure he's prepped for anything he encounters in the space. And right now, B is just a one-trick pony. Only the archers. And speaking of ponies, likely to go into lances when he techs up. Problematic, because English knights can actually beat you out, especially if MarineLorD thinks about pulling 1 or 2 villages and building a forward outpost.
In fact, that is the big thing missing here from MarineLorD, the network of castles bonus just missing from that army. Whereas the other side does have its buff, the Yam network, and you see MarineLorD hitting Castle Age, B is diving.
B, he has to buy time. He also has to relieve pressure. Rams now on the docks. Why is this important? Well, B had the opportunity to potentially go war junks to recover waterside. However, they will take too long to reduce against this Ram, which is why he needs to find a way of addressing the threat now.
I love that Ram knocking down the docks. MarineLorD knows fully well that he's gonna have to get rid of those docks before the first war chunks appear, and he's gonna do just that.
The timing just isn't going to add up well for B. Just look at the damage the Ram's going to add in here. The war junk's only half complete right now. Archers have to go in for the trade elsewhere. New arrow to stay out of range, and they'll try to target down the spears. This is going to be tight. In fact, he might do just enough to get it out. Remember that Rams take 5 seconds to attack, and I do believe that war junk is just about 10 seconds away. I think it's actually going to spawn.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be close.
He gets it out just in time. The strike's not going to be quick enough. What? That had to be like 0.2 seconds. That was beyond 1 second, right? I can't believe that.
The small things that can influence games. That could have been a game changer if that spawns. Might have even saved the water for B. But now, dock gone and no war chunk on the field.
Even if it doesn't actually clean up the naval side, it cleans up most of the land force. That's the bigger deal. And now look at the desperation. B just dove 3 galleys to get rid of a Ram. How many villagers had to die for this?
Way too many, KP. Way too many.
Oh my lordy. I am stuck right now, Lytical. B, more stuck than me. I'm stuck on how he gets out. I don't know where he is. He's like neck deep in mud at this stage.
It's looking so bad because his gold mine is also very much exposed. Loses access to the gold mine, he's gonna lose access to the men-at-arms, the Lancers, and behind this, MarineLorD has the water, MarineLorD has the second DC, and MarineLorD, look at the army count at the top. 43 army against only 7, just 7 archers separating B from defeat.
I was about to say that B is going to be living on a prayer, but right now, the only one who's dealing with prayers of any kind is MarineLorD, now also picking up relics, so getting himself that scalability and already hoarding. Look at his food. I wouldn't be surprised if MarineLorD, off the back of this pressure, considers being a greedy boy and looking towards Imperial.
Could be a possibility, but I feel like he feels the blood in the water here. He knows he can deny gold, he knows he can pick off villagers, and he's just gonna press on here. Takes down the towers, takes down the archers, and B has nothing left here, really.
No. You can see he's hanging on by a thread at this stage. Outposts are going to go down. Step readout is now irrelevant and dysfunctional. Doesn't do anything for you. B, I don't think you could actually have a smaller area on the map marked as your territory without not existing.
At least he's gonna clean up the longbows, but little does he know that MarineLorD doesn't really care. In fact, he's also going to take a couple of archers with him, using the galleys and the hawks.
I just love it when people kindly walk in range of your naval force that can't do anything. You know, there's no Flying Dutchman cheat in this game, and I mean this is desperation play. B, you know, usually Lancers can feel good in this situation, but just not the answer here. He can't get enough of them, especially now with his lack of access to gold.
Exactly, and speaking of gold, MarineLorD is busy picking up relics. He feels confident with his map control, went with 2 monasteries straight away. That's a sign that he knows he's gonna pick up more than 3 relics.
Yeah, MarineLorD loves doing this build a lot. I think he's one of the most frequent people to go for like the double monastery, no matter what civ he's playing as. A lot of people wouldn't do it, especially now with the buffs, right? You build the monastery 30 seconds instead of 45, but the issue for him is he knows B wants the relics as well. He spotted the prayer tent, so he's going to do everything he can to block that point of recovery for B. I'm wondering, B, what's the next step? He's actually going to get onto another gold mine, which is a little bit surprising. It does feel like MarineLorD's giving a little bit too much wiggle room here, but it's because of what he's prepping for next. You can see he's starting to escalate men-at-arms count, and B doesn't actually have an answer to that.
Yeah, that's right? It's calm before the storm. Now men-at-arms longbows pushing in on the gold mine. Towers will be completed, but once again the price to pay is high, and that villager discrepancy is getting very concerning here for our blue player.
I feel like this is one of the more frustrating comps to lose to, like the men-at-arms spam. Right, we talked about how the HRE can do it with Burgrave yesterday, and then you see how the English can be really formidable with this type of timing. It just feels annoying to lose to because it's not like, oh damn, he dove in and he beat me with heavy knights I didn't see. It's like an old man could react to these men-at-arms, they move that slow. But you just don't have anywhere to go. That's what's going to happen here. Like, eventually your base is going to be invaded in every corner. It doesn't matter that these boys don't move fast. It's the fact that you can't move at all.
And this is a very open map, right? So you really can't just sit inside your base undefended. You need army fielded on the field, and this is not something that B has. He's struggling with army numbers, and he's gonna get punished with map control for that.
Ooh, B. I mean, he's going mass archers. Like, you've already seen men-at-arms. This is the only option you have. Like, it's not B just being blind or not knowing what you have to do in AOE4 to win. It's that he can't go for anything to counter this yet because he only just got back on the gold. Down the line, we probably see crossbowmen come out as a great solution here, but he also needs a solution to the longbows before he goes crossbows. Otherwise, they just get picked apart.
The time factor is just not there for B. I mean, he's trying to catch up here when it comes to eco, trying to pick up some relics, but realistically, now he's down by 80 population, and even if he stops his battering ram, it just feels too late now.
MarineLorD is switching script as well. Like, you know, he sees that B's not going to wave the white flag quickly, so instead he's now going to force B to come to him. He's prepping a transpose ship. He's going to go capture that sacred site and then force the countdown on the sacred sites.
Love that. Even if the countdown is not there because you can't control the central sacred site, it's going to be an extra trickle of gold, and it just gives you an even bigger advantage than what you have right now.
But the point for him is that he will control that central sacred site, right? The weakness is this comp is that it can't move. So, like, B can toy with you with these lances unless you want to wall everywhere. MarineLorD's like, screw this. I don't understand why I should chase you. You're the one on the ropes, and you have to come out. I'm going to show you why the sacred sites were added to Age of Empires 4.
Indeed.
Those are so infuriating. He actually might still kill. Ooh, just out of range. Just one more shot. I don't think he got it. No, he didn't. It's
No,
like 1
I didn't.
HP. Look at this little boy in 10 HP. Oh, what a liver.
Look at the man-at-arms now pushing in, supported by longbows, rams as well. 3 battering rams on the field here from MarineLorD.
And the longbow count is 21 longbows. He can counter out this archer quantity. The rams are quickly getting through the outpost. Spearman can also add damage to the remaining archers. Going to force a complete migration to the west side from B. Still unable to fight. And just as soon as he thought he had enough archers to address the longbows, he's going to have to double down on them while also getting the crossbows. Siege engineering is on the table, but he needs gold to get the mangonels to counter out the English.
And his archers, they're being cleaned up, so are the archer ranges. Reinforcements now being cut off by the longbows. His army is being torn to shreds here, KP.
The rams are unaddressed, Lidicore. Look at the composition. B, outside of his villages, he has 2 units that can do serious damage to rams. That is just not going to cut it. Wololo will at least protect the gold mine for a moment, but the men-at-arms will continue their dive. The rams will delete the infrastructure back at home. B, now at risk of not even having the ability to get a standing army to defend with.
Yeah, that's right. Even if he gets the resources, he won't be able to field any units because his production buildings are just being taken down. Down to 14 army against a whopping 83 on the other side. Almost pop cap against 84 population. The chances of B are none. He's going to tap out, and MarineLorD evens out the series 1-1.
So not to be in Holy Island, we will go the distance here. 3 games will be required between B and MarineLorD. And, well, if nothing else, I can definitely guarantee you an interesting series. What an interesting way for B to open up this game, the aggression. An unorthodox Mongol pick that almost netted him a win, but MarineLorD calm and calculated with his recovery. And once he got control of that waterfront, he showed you exactly why the English is an S-tier pick on Holy Island.
Indeed, such a good show by MarineLorD, and as you said, it's a delicate balance of the water and the land investments, and it started very rocky for MarineLorD. He struggled to keep his dock intact, ended up being able to keep it alive though at the cost of massive villager casualties, but then the transition to land was much swifter, and he was able to inflict so much damage at the beginning of Castle Age, and ultimately secure the majority of the relics and snowball the game with a much better eco in the end.